what's up? It's Jeremy Picker from Amber Creative.
This is Deanna with In the Zoning and Print Girl Mafia.
This is Ray Weiss with Printing the Night of the Lion.
You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Fashion to the people.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, April 17th, 2026. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery from Super Gamut and our Success Group. And Terry, this week we're going to have Eric jumping back in with us here in a little bit. And you and I are going to, with Eric's help, wrap up our discussion about pricing 2 weeks ago. So April 3rd would have been the date that one went live. We talked about cost versus value. And today, our goal here is to take that and turn that into a pricing strategy, right? So, pricing isn't about what it costs you. It's about what it's worth to your customers. So we want to kind of build some strategy around that today, Terry. I think that's the main goal for sure.
Yeah, we started as a one-parter. Let's see if we can make it just a two-parter. Because
that's right.
Before we ended up going to three-parter.
Yeah.
Show.
We're going to push forward. We're going to make this a two-parter. All right.
All right,
Eric.
Make sure everyone stays to the very end. I'm going to be bringing the secret sauce. Cleanliness is next to godliness. So stay tuned for that.
Nice. Yes, we want to hear all about that. So I've got my marker ready to take notes and then get those in. So Terry, before we jump to the news, we've got the folks from World Imaging News in the background waiting to jump in here, and I can't wait to hear from them here shortly. But I just want to make sure that everyone has registered for the Branded Merch Networks the sustainability summit that's coming up. So if you go to brandedmerchnetwork.com/SMS, and that stands for Sustainable Merch Summit. And if you'll just scroll to the bottom of that link there, so brandedmerchnetwork.com/SMS, and just scroll to the bottom, hit that button that says Save My Spot. And even if you can't make it live, I think this is really going to be a really great program next week, and going to be content that you don't want to miss. There's already some really interesting data coming out of it from the people that have registered. 79% of those folks that have registered so far are most interested in what's happening in sustainable merch right now, right? Not about the future. Like, this is a conversation about right now. And so if you miss this content coming up next week on Earth Day, April 22nd, I think you're going to be behind the eight ball when it comes to sustainability. It's no longer just a talking point. I think this is something that we have to be on top of as an industry here. So.
Yeah, Aaron, last year's event, our trial run was spectacular. Everybody, it flew by.
Yeah.
There was so much great content, so many great panel discussions, and so make sure that you're a part of it. And I wish that we could say, we planned this for Earth Day, but we actually planned it, and then someone goes, "Hey, that's Earth Day."
Yeah, we were having a hard time finding a date that worked for everybody, and then
Right.
we're like, "How about April 22nd?" And then I can't remember. It must have been Teresa or Cassie was like,
Right.
"That's Earth Day." I love it. All right. Well, let's get to the news here. We can't wait to hear from Dan and MJ with World Imaging News. If you are ready, Terry.
Let's hear the news.
Hey everyone, MJ here from Bogota, Colombia.
And I'm Dan Barefoot coming to you from Los Angeles, California. MJ, how about a big drum roll, please?
Drum roll? Do I sound or look like a drum then?
No, but with all the breaking news, I had to try. All right, no drum roll. Let's get right into it.
Our first big story, Coordinate Digital is acquiring Print Factory, the Netherlands-based RIP software company. With strong textile imaging capabilities, it's a natural fit for Coordinate's apparel-focused solutions.
And it's a significant move. With Fiery, CADLink, and Inedit now owned by Epson, Colorgate with Brother, and Caldera part of Dover, the independent RIP space is shrinking really fast. We'll be covering the top remaining RIP providers in an upcoming newsletter. It's definitely one to watch.
And speaking of things to watch, you just got back from the ISA Expo. Plenty of news there as well, right?
Absolutely. While attendance felt a bit lighter, there were still some major announcements.
One that stood out was the Braille Monster from Fluid Color.
MJ, you've got to say it with emphasis. Braille Monster. Just like Super Gamut's The Kraken.
Then we have real news to report, but yes, Fluid Color's Braille Monster is the fastest flatbed Braille printer on the market today.
I don't know who writes this stuff, but anyway, it's great seeing you say that. Mimaki also introduced a new 64-inch hybrid UV roll-to-roll flatbed printer, priced around $40,000. And I'm hearing they've already sold over 100 units. Our friends at Cutworks USA launched the CWT foam cutter, and Sign Roller USA made its debut at the show.
And Epson launched their new B4000 UB flatbed as well.
Yes, it was very well received. Epson was also demoing their 64-inch G97 DTF printer paired with Equipment Zone shaker units. It was an impressive setup. Terry's ears might have been burning. I spotted Harry Oster at the Epson booth, and Terry came up in the conversation. All positive, of course.
Plus, new printers from Roland, DTF systems from Coldesi, flatbeds from Vanguard Digital, and more.
Overall, it was a very good show. And we're not slowing down. We have more events coming up.
That's right, Dan. I'll be reporting live from Createx in Bogota, and you'll be at FESPA in Barcelona.
And we'll also be working with the DAX shows. I'm really hoping Aaron might join us with some on-site reports.
As long as he doesn't have to do a drum roll, I'm sure he will then.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, and one quick note. We have a big announcement. National Pet Week is coming up the first week of May, and we're inviting listeners and readers to send in photos of their pets for us to feature in our newsletter, newscast, and online.
Yes, send them to mj@worldimaginenews.com or then at worldimaginenews.com.
Hey, MJ, I have 2 pets to post. One is Aji, our dog, and the other is Hank the chicken. I may use Hank as a substitute for Grandma's.
Then the chicken does not count.
Oh, come on. For the latest in digital imaging news, visit worldimaginenews.com.
And for our Latina audience, head to worldimaginenewslatina.com and sign up for Win Quick News.
That's it for this edition of Win News on Two Regular Guys. I'm Dan Barefoot.
And I'm MJ. And after drum rolls and a chicken, I hope Aaron, Terry, and Eric will have us back.
I hope so as well. But until we meet again, be healthy, smile often, keep your printers printing, and of course your pets happy. By the way, I have to hide Hank the chicken until Pet Week, since our dog Aji really dislikes the chicken squawk. We have to lose that chicken.
Manténganse saludables, sigan sonriendo, and then please lose the chicken.
Okay.
Terry, I love it, man. So much fun. I love all the fun and just so much news, right? We just got hit with a whole bunch of interesting stuff, Terry.
Yeah, after 14 years, another first. We have never had a rubber chicken on the show before.
Wow. Look at that. Rubber chicken on the show, first time in 14 years. Thank you, Dan. And I've already started my email. I'm going to have to send my pet cockapoo, Joey, over for submission. So we'll get that sent over. And I am happy to bring any news I can from Dax Dayton. So let me know, guys, and I will make sure we get that information for World Imaging News. I can be a roving reporter. Man, it's cool. I get to be part of something fun. And then last thing, there was so much in there, Terry, so I apologize. I have to keep unpacking here. But we do actually have a drum roll available, should that ever actually be needed. Just FYI, I think Eric could probably find it in music.
And
There we go.
Nice. Every time Dan says, coming to you from Los Angeles, California, you know how my mind works. I go straight to Tombstone. The end of Tombstone is, and Wyatt Earp died in 1929 in Los Angeles, California. Cowboy star Tom Mix wept. and it's not because I've seen that movie like 40 times, but
That's right. All right. Well, let's talk to some of the regulators here real quick before we get into the rest of our show here. So we had Cindy King joining us this morning. Says good morning, working and listening. So appreciate you tuning in there. Doug Sobel checking in from also probably Los Angeles, California, as you would say there, Terry. And then we've got Barb checking in from North Central Minnesota. Good morning, Barb. Thank you for being here live with us. And let's see here. Yep, good stuff. Everybody's saying hi to each other. I love that as well.
Yeah.
And then we have a question I'm not sure we can answer yet. Breaking news yet. But no, not yet. Terry, where are you working now?
working is a big word.
Yeah, it's a very loose term for Terry
I
anyways.
spent some time reading a book by the pool yesterday, so I don't know if that counts or not, but Doug.
Yeah, Terry has earned some much needed time away and probably working on travel plans too, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Some point,
absolutely.
right?
And speaking of, you
All right.
must have read ahead into the dad joke.
Maybe a little bit. So I'm really interested to see how the dad joke lands. I think this is going to be a good one, or it's going to be an absolute failure. But that's what dad jokes are. So if you're ready, Terry, let's do it.
I'm ready. Let's do the dad joke. So, Aaron, someone ripped the 5th month out of my calendar, right out of Terry's big book of travel.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah, I was dismayed. For our podcast listeners, May is the 5th month. I was dismayed.
Okay, we got the thumbs down from Dan.
Dan's still hanging around. Give that a thumbs down.
Eric, we've got a golf clap from Eric, and MJ's got the rolling laughs there. So I don't know, mixed reviews. I like it.
It's probably because I still have a handwritten big book of travel. That's
why it works.
Judging me. But when the zombie apocalypse happens, I'll still have my schedule of things that I need to do in the apocalypse.
Yeah. You're probably going to I can cross that out. That's not needed anymore. Avoid zombies. All right, go.
Before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in the show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, and be a part of every show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests, so if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you're listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. And we would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there, and we would love for you to do a review. And please join in with your comments and your questions on pricing today.
Yes, indeed. We're excited to have this as a conversation, not just a what do you want to call it? A platform moment for Terry and I and Eric. And but are you ready to dive into the show here, Terry?
I am. Eric, are you ready to jump in as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So
ready as I'm going to get.
All right. Well, let me introduce this for anybody that missed the show. Go back to the April 3rd episode of our show, and you can check out kind of the first half of this. But pricing is one of those things that I think every shop owner, right? We know it matters. Obviously, we need to set pricing and do that well to be successful. But it still seems like, at least in my travels and conversations with folks, and I think you guys would agree with this, there's just still too much guessing going on, right? It's I'm going to look at what my competitors charge and go 5 cents less, or maybe I'm going to just add a little margin on top of my cost and go with that, and just really kind of hoping the numbers work out in the end, right? Like there's a lot of that too, of like, I don't even know what my pricing strategy is, so I'm just going with the hope and pray method. And I've got a business I'm relying on hope and pray for. So again, you guys see that out there in your travels as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think that the vast majority of people price by guess and like you said, hope and pray.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
It's always my favorite pricing method. The price by zip code, called the closest 5 shops, average and subtract 5%. I hate it. I talk about it every time I teach.
Yeah. So I mean, the reality is, if your pricing isn't built on a clear understanding of your value, I think it's always going to feel uncertain, and that uncertainty is going to show up in like just your confidence. Like I've seen people that struggle with pricing, and you can tell it affects just their confidence as a business owner, and it's certainly going to affect your customers, the type of customers that you're attracting, and then most importantly, it's going to affect your bottom line. So again, tune back to that show on April 3rd and make sure that you've watched that if you haven't caught that already. You don't need to do it before. This all kind of plays together, but we talked a lot last time about what value really means in our business. And so today we want to talk about how to turn that idea of value into pricing that will work in our businesses. So you guys all on board with that? Are we on the same page here?
Yeah, 100%. And let me start if that's okay. I work with a lot of startup businesses, especially in my screen printing classes. My classes, half the class is usually somebody that started their business within the past year and a half. Haven't started yet. I just bought equipment. I came here to learn how to use it, and we talk a lot about pricing because a lot of newbies, especially, feel like what they're doing doesn't have value. That hey, I'm just learning, or I work from my basement, I work from my garage. People aren't going to pay me premium pricing like the guy down the street in the brick and mortar store. And I try to explain to them what you do has value as long as you do good work. You deliver on time. Man, it didn't take me any time at all to get that in there. You could work, deliver on time. What you do has value. I used to when I was in Kansas City. When I left the company I was working for there, we were doing $13 million in sales. There was a screen printer across town that was doing $250 million in sales. I tell my students that, listen, in my garage, I can do the exact same prints that they're doing in the $13 million shop and the $250 million shop, because and it's true of all areas of our industry. Screen printing is screen printing is screen printing. Embroidery is embroidery is embroidery. As long as you do a good job, as long as you deliver it on time, you're doing exactly the same thing they're doing in the big shops. They're just doing more of it. So what you do has value, and you have to have that mindset when you're doing your pricing as well.
Yeah. Yep. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, that's a perfect transition into where I think we should start here. Now, I do want to make sure that we get David Haynes from Corel Trainers comment in here. Some good-looking 3 regular guys. I would agree.
Very nice. Thank you, David.
I think we're feeling extra handsome today. So,
indeed.
All right. So, first point, and just as a reminder for you guys, the goal here is to make this the finish of this. All right. So, no, not another part. We don't need another part. We'll come up with some other multi-part shows for later. But why do so many businesses undervalue what they offer, right? I think, Terry, you were kind of leading to that with the story you just told there. But then kind of see if you guys can tie that to what role does confidence play in pricing. So Eric, you want to start us off with?
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to take a slightly different tack. I'll try not to expand this, but I think this actually
Okay.
is
Yeah.
something I've seen a lot in this last kind of couple of sessions I've done at Impressions Expo. Usually when we're talking about this, it's about people's confidence in their technique. It's like, I don't think that the product I'm producing is good enough. The funny thing I keep seeing is a lack of confidence in what should be valued. And in the embroidery community, a lot of this is art prep work, is other kinds of handling, is finishing. It's stuff that's not necessarily related to the product, where even if people are confident in their product, I think there's a lack of confidence that other parts of the process are valuable and not just throw-ins, that we have to know the time it takes for everything to do, and confidence in that knowledge too. I know we're going to get to numbers later, but we all know the what gets measured gets managed, and I'm one of those people who says a little bit of time study can make a big difference in your pricing and in your production. But there's also a lack of confidence in their knowledge of what it takes. If I stop and ask somebody point blank, how long is it going to take you to, throw out the average, 8,000 stitch left chest design on this many garments, and they have zero idea. Like they really could not. If you took them to the table and said, "This is what we're doing today. How long do you think this is going to take you?" They don't know. And so part of that confidence isn't just like, confidence in myself. It's also, I don't confidently know how long my processes are taking or what is going into the average job. And so there's also that. I think both of those things are in play. And I'll say, actually, in my world, it seems to me, where we used to be a group of people who came from craft, and sometimes that concept of I'm doing my hobby, why is anybody paying for me for that, used to be the issue. No longer do I find that to be the top issue. It's much more about people not confidently feeling like they are in business or know how to do business in an official and kind of commercial capacity.
Okay, like it. Interesting. Terry, you want to take a crack?
Yeah, 100%. The confidence, and I love what Eric just said about charging for the things that you need to charge for. And I'm going to go back to the story of someone walking up to me and saying, in my town, you can't get more than $10 for a DTG printed shirt. And I looked at his badge and I said, "You live in Columbus, Ohio." And he's like, "That's right." And I said, "A lot of people don't know, but that's the largest city in Ohio." And he goes, "That's right." I said, "You're talking to the wrong people, because there's probably somebody within a half mile of you that's charging $25 for that same shirt and getting it." It's just people get in their minds that someone isn't willing to pay for the value that you're giving to them, and if that's the case, you're definitely talking to the lowest level of buyer out there, and you're never going to be successful if that's your target.
Yep. I agree. And I also love hearing that question. Hearing that statement, Terry. Nobody in my town will. Yeah, I used to really go, oh gosh, okay, we're gonna have to fight this battle, right? But now I love it, because I just asked them a question like, oh, okay, so nobody in your town actually owns a pair of Nike shoes or has a designer handbag, and they go, what? I'm like, well, somebody's willing to pay more than the cheapest price out there for something that they perceive as valuable, right? Like I can go get a cheap pair of sneakers from wherever, Walmart, whatever, that have the Velcro on it, and spend, the $20 or whatever, I don't need to spend the $300 on the Nike shoes that my son spends on shoes. So,
Right.
Yeah. And so I think you're exactly right. You're talking to the wrong people. You're not talking. So here's the other side of it for me that I want to add to what you guys have said there is, again, what role does confidence play in the pricing? And I think confidence really starts from truly understanding who your ideal customer is.
Right.
Because then we like to just talk about, here's the shirt, here's how many, stitches, how many colors of screen print, how many heads of embroidery I have, how many colors on my DTF machine, et cetera, right? That, as decorators, that's the stuff that gets us excited. I was just out at the Corny Connections, right? And everybody's all pumped up about, the stuff. But the reality is, your customers don't care about that. If they cared about that, they would be sitting where we're sitting, right? They'd be in our shoes, they'd be a competitor, not a customer. And so what they care about is what problems you solve for them. And not just the, hey, you need a t-shirt, I solved that problem for you, but why do you need a t-shirt? Right? What's the, so I think the people that have the best confidence that then shows up in the way that they price things and value what they do are the people that really understand what their customers need and then go out of their way to deliver on those needs. And they can talk to their customers, and never once do they bring up the actual thing, right? That's part of the order taking process, is figuring out the colors and the blah 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 blah. The sales process should be, I don't even think you need. I always use the example of like let's say you're trying to help a coach outfit their team with the uniform, right? Like, you're talking about things like, let me help you get, all of the sizes together, I'll take care of the taking money for you. All you got to do is hand these out and then be the best coach you can be. Right. And they're not talking about the thing. So I think that's my take on that, is why so many businesses undervalue what they offer, is because they don't actually know who they're offering it to. And therefore they don't have a clear understanding of what, that confidence in what it is that they actually offer.
So here's my takeaway. Stop hanging around out front of Payless Shoes looking for customers. Go down to the Nike store.
I love it. Man, all that to get to that. I'm sorry I took so long to get there, Terry. All right. And let's see here. Any comments? I got a couple of comments here. I think that we can just pop in real quick. Doug says, I work out of my garage, but I spent $10,000 converting it, epoxy floor insulation, mini split AC, right? So there's expenses involved regardless of where you work from. And there's something to be said about that, right? So people are going to be there. And I didn't read this one in advance, but we'll just read it live here. Extra Hands 1 says, confidence in yourself and the work you produce will help guide you towards the people you need as clients. There you go.
True.
Yep. Yep. All right. So let's talk about this then real quick. I think we've been pretty clear that, like Eric was saying earlier, that the average of the 5 people you called on the phone that are, but why is pricing against your competitors often a losing strategy? So, Eric, let's start with you again.
Not a problem. I want to start this one, honestly.
Okay.
It drives me crazy. Well, it's a pretty simple calculus for me. I always talk to people about this. I'm like, if your primary motivator that you're giving somebody for the reason to choose you is bargaining, is discounting, then you have nothing to do but discount more to continue to motivate them down the road. That's all you have. And if the competitors that you're working against, they start discounting, then it's just that race to the bottom that we've always heard about. That's what the race to the bottom means, is that if you have multiple competitors in one area and all they're doing is pricing, that's all we're doing to compete with each other, there's nowhere to go but making less money and spending more of your time to make it. It's ridiculous. It doesn't mean you can't take price into effect. If you're around people who are absolutely overpricing, that can be part of your story, maybe, but I don't like people focusing on that. It's kind of what I've said to everybody now. It's like there's always somebody who got some sort of deal where their machine was cheaper than yours, where their space is free, where whatever it is that makes them able to do something you can't do for that price, and they're willing to cut their throat for it, or people who are willing to make themselves a sub minimum wage job out of their business. There's always somebody willing to do that, but unless you are willing to do that, and you shouldn't be, why would you even engage with them? That's not really your competitor. And I'm going to tell you right now, like we were talking about, the people who are designing for Nike are not probably necessarily thinking about foam shoes from the Walmart hang-up aisle as their primary competitor. That's not somebody they're worried about competing with in that space. We separate into classes and verticals and different ways of segmenting our business for a reason. I'm not going to say there's no money to be made in the Walmart aisle. There is.
Oh, yeah.
But what I'm going to say is most shops aren't, especially we're talking about U.S. producers. Hey guys, you're probably not made to do that. You're probably not in that segment. The people who are listening to this are very unlikely to be in the massive contract decorating segment in that way, producing for retail. That's not your competitor. They don't even factor into where you're at. And like I said, if all you can do is offer discounts, then all you can do to keep motivation up, to give people more calls to action, is to continue to be on that cheap side of things, and you have to make a big decision for yourself. Either tune yourself for it, which is really hard to do, and there's not as much space in that area, or you're going to have to find something unique that has value that you can offer to people and learn how to tell that story. But it does drive me nuts. It's like as soon as you make that your primary thing you're pinning down is like, I can do it cheaper, then all you can do to make it better for yourself is increase in efficiencies, stuff like that. And it's harder and harder to get the juice out of the squeeze when that's your primary thing you're using to promote yourself.
Yep. Yep. Love it. Love it. All right. Terry, I'm going to jump real quick because I'm just going to be super quick on this, and then you can close it up for us. Is that okay? All right.
Yeah.
So the question was why pricing against competitors can often be a losing strategy, right? I think you immediately made yourself a commodity. What we do, we can't be a commodity, right? Because the fact of the matter is a blank shirt, utility wise, is the exact same as a decorated shirt. So we're only adding perceived value. We're not adding actual value. And so when you make your pricing strategy, hey, I'm going to be a commodity, right? I'm going to be the cheapest guy. Then you're automatically, like Eric noted, right? Somebody's always willing to do it cheaper, right? So unless you have unlimited supplies of money in your pocket right now, and I've yet to find that person because I'd like to be friends with them, but maybe get an island out of them or something. But then, starting your pricing is I'm going to beat the guy up the street, the gal up the street, is going to be a losing strategy, in my opinion. So there you go, Terry.
Well, and here's the harsh reality. Everybody's selling this shirt for $10 decorated. Company A is making $4 on every shirt they sell. Company B is breaking even, and Company C is losing $1 on every shirt they sell because buying power, efficiency. My thing, the way I run production shops, is mega efficiency. I will destroy you if we are basing our pricing on what the guy next door is selling their shirts for. So, and this goes back to Eric's answer before. You have to know what it costs you to do this, and before you can set up your pricing. And of course, when I first started screen printing, what did I do? I based my prices on what other people were selling for because I didn't have any idea. I started my screen printing business right out of college, armed with my degree in journalism from Ohio University, as I've said 1,000 times. I accidentally became a screen printer. But 1 year and 2 days after I got married right out of college, I had twins. I had not 2 mouths to feed, I had 4. And I had to really reevaluate what my pricing was, not based on what somebody down the street's pricing it for, but how can I make a living? So anyway, that's when I learned that it's far better to do good work and deliver on time than to compete with the person down the street who's going to nickel and dime you. So
yeah, good stuff. All right, so one more, and then we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and wrap this up. I think we're going to make it, you guys. Now, I probably should knock on some wood here, but all right. I'm going to throw this to you first, Terry, if that's okay. What are the warning signs that your pricing is too low?
Well, first of all, if you are you're struggling to pay the bills every month, that's a sign pricing is too low, and possibly maybe getting too much business, too many people coming to you because your prices are so low that it's hard for other people to compete with you, and so but I think if you're having trouble making payroll, that's sign number one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Eric, what about you? What's your thoughts here?
I'm hoping it's not the first sign by the time you're missing payroll, but I am going to say this. If you're tracking what's going on, you'll see it in your profit and loss. Like you'll just start to see that you just really aren't profiting. If your machines are always full and the kitty is always empty. You know what I mean? If your pocket's empty, your machines are full, you are doing something wrong. It's just what it is. If you don't have time, here's the other thing too. If when you are making money, you don't have time to work on the business at all, especially a lot of you solopreneurs, you're grinding, you're making everything work, you're getting production done, but you have zero time to work on the business or look for other work or improve anything. I think sometimes that time loss is actually you seeing that you're charging so little that it takes you an inordinate amount of time to make the amount of money that you're making, even when you're breaking even or doing well enough. I think the other thing we're missing is that, hey, if you must be missing opportunity costs here because you are charging too little. You're getting every single job, but you're having to spend extra time to get that money. So there's a couple ways to come at it. And also, I'm just going to put this out there again. Do your books, crying out loud. That's how you know, because you're tracking the money going in and out of your business live. My gosh, please write things down. I don't care if it's paper. I don't care if it's Google Docs. I don't care if it's QuickBooks or a full shop management system. Geez, just write everything down. Please put it somewhere where everybody can get to it and where you can run calculations on it. There's no excuse in this time, in the year of our Lord 2026, for you not to be recording things and trying to figure out where you're actually at. And this comes from someone who, very classically, I don't like to admit this, I'm an art room guy where if you don't slam a calendar in my face all the time, I will be doing creative things and forgetting any of it. And so if I'm telling you that, believe me, I have some belief in this. You need to record all this stuff and watch your numbers.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I want to bring Doug's comment in from a little bit earlier. He said, if you are quoting and everyone is agreeing and not complaining, or you're not losing some jobs, you're probably not charging enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, And so it is that pricing to me can almost be a faucet or a lever, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. When I do a pricing seminar, one of the main things I try to get through to everybody is, no matter what you take out of this, go raise your prices by 5% and just see what happens, right? Like, I've probably told this story. I'm turning into Terry here, but I probably told this story before. But, I did run into somebody that was like really struggling, and he was a little bit grumpy, and I was feeling a little bit sassy, and he basically was like trying to pin me down on like, just tell me what to do kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I knew him a little bit and knew that his pricing was way too low. And so I just kind of flippantly said, and again, I was feeling a little sassy, so don't catch me in those moments. I needed food, but I'm like, raise your prices, double your prices. Yeah, just like and I really thought. I mean, his face got red, and I really thought he was going to take a swing at me. And I just stopped him for a second and said, "Well, what would happen if you doubled your prices?" And his response was, "I lose half my business." Okay,
there you go.
He didn't get it. Right? It took him a second.
Problem with that.
I'm like,
I could take Sunday off, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that.
The point was, right? Exactly.
If I make the same amount of money, but I only have to work half the
time, the same amount of money, huh?
I think I gained something in that balance.
Yeah.
No, I think that's always the question. Like, and how long are you spending cranking that handle to make that same amount of money come out? That is part of the calculus. In fact, it's a big part of the calculus.
Yeah. And I think this is where the kind of the hustle culture gets us, right? We think we got to grind more, do harder. Let's run another sale. Right? I just don't think that's true. How about work with the people you love, charge what you're worth, and love what you get to do each day. Like that's I think that's where it's at. So I don't know. Again, I'm not I get it that we have to take action. I'm a big fan of taking action, and so I'm not against hustling, making it work, right? Like I totally get that. But to say just hustle a little bit harder, I think that's what drives people to charge not charge what they're worth, and instead try to hustle harder and keep making nickels when they should be making $5, $10, $15 bills.
Well, and if you are grinding and running uphill as hard as you can, but the money's downhill, you're going the wrong direction. It doesn't matter how hard you do it. If you work as hard as possible at the wrong direction for your business, at the wrong segment that you don't fit into, at the wrong clients for your machine and your experience, you are going to fail in that too. So harder is not the answer. Direction is a much better answer.
Yeah.
Planning is a better answer than more effort.
Yeah.
You can expend a lot of effort doing the wrong stuff. Ask me how I know. We've all done it.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a quick breather here, you guys, and then we can come back and get through the rest of this. I think we're gonna see if we can share some thoughts on strategy and stuff going forward here. So, but let's hear about the Decorated Apparel Expo show coming up next week in Dayton, Ohio.
The Decorated Apparel Expo is the premier trade show for the decorated apparel industry, built for printers, embroiderers, and apparel decorators who are ready to grow their business. Step onto a trade floor designed for real conversations, where attendees build meaningful connections with top exhibitors. And don't miss our new and improved education, featuring hands-on workshops you won't find anywhere else. Join us at upcoming shows in Dayton, Chicago, Tampa, Nashville, and the Twin Cities. Register now for free at www.dacshow.com.
All right.
All right. So
you will be there.
I will be there. And so, yeah, I want to know who else is going to be there. I believe Mr. David Haynes will be there. So excited to see him and give him a hug.
I don't believe I've ever been to a trade show that Mr. David Haynes wasn't at.
Not for a while, right?
Valid point. Talk about a real road warrior, that dude. Those guys go hard. So I love it. Okay, so here's my thought, guys. And I'm just making this up as we go here. So you guys can tell me later how badly I screwed this up. But we've got about 3 more kind of bullet points questions that we wanted to tackle. But my thought is, let me throw all 3 at you guys, and then let's just kind of massage those around a little bit, right?
Sure.
I think that was just really awkward what I said, but you get the point. All right. So here's the 3 points or 3 questions, right? What are the most effective ways to communicate value so pricing feels justified? How do you raise prices without losing your best customers? And what should someone do first if they realize pricing is wrong today? So feel free to take that. Terry, I'm going to start with you. Feel free to take this wherever you want to go. Hit all 3, hit 1, we'll come back, whatever you want to do there.
Okay, so communicating value. I think you start with this by professionalism, by projecting yourself as a professional. People need to feel confident that they're giving you money and they want to get something back of value. So, I pound on this in my screen printing classes. Always present yourself as a professional. Customers don't care if you're working out of your basement as long as they feel confident that you're going to do a good job for them. So that's number 1. Project professionalism in what you do. And
Terry, can I stop you right there? Because I think just want to make sure people are staying tuned for the secret sauce, because I think what you're going to share with us will also be a really good way to project that professionalism as well. So anyhow, sorry.
1,000%.
Okay.
I'll give you a real life example for raising prices without losing your best customers. When I was talking earlier about after starting my business and a year and 2 days later after getting married, having twins, I remember having a conversation with one of my customers with my new pricing, and I went price list in hand, and he's like, Terry, these prices are quite a bit higher than what I've been paying. And I said, and his name was Jim Prouty. I still remember this conversation. And I said, Jim, I've reached the point where I've got to make a living too. And he goes, well, I respect that. And I printed for him for years to come. I probably lost 20% of my customers when I raised my prices. But obviously, as we were saying before, I got to take Sundays off because I was making more money doing less work. So I'll live with that. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to just say, yep, what he said, but there's a portion of it where it's like, yeah, we're talking about the same thing. I think that the one thing I'll have to say is stop and ask yourself the hard questions. I know I say this a lot, and I've taught classes. In fact, several of my classes, I've now moved this chunk of my slide deck into other classes because I want so much people to do this. You have to say to yourself and be able to express very cleanly and clearly. I'm not saying 30-second elevator pitch, not all this other whatever. It doesn't matter how you say it. I'm not trying to say you have to be extra crafted, but you have to understand and be able to express why your shop is different than another shop. Why is it important to be with you? What do you do best? What is your unique thing you do well? You have to be able to explain why your product presents a value to the customer. You have to be able to tell the story of what that value is, not just, it looks nice, but is it a promotional value? Is it for their end people, like the end viewers, to see that they are professional? Mm-hmm. Is it uniforming? Is it merch? Whatever it is, how does that raise the stakes for the customer? Not you, for the customer. What does it do for them? What is the end goal? Because the end goal is not a shirt. It's that the shirt does something. It is promotional to another party. It makes somebody feel a certain way. It celebrates something, and that makes them feel good. If it's your family reunion shirt, but you have to be able to express that stuff, and you have to say when you're talking about different products, your product line. Let's say we're talking about embroidery, as I often do. Why is embroidery the right choice for someone, and how can you express the unique value of embroidery as a product? If you can't answer those questions, I don't know how you expect to tell a client or to present that value. So not only to present yourself as a professional, but be aware enough of the space, be aware enough of your particular medium that you're working in, and of the sorts of things your client finds important so that you can express to them the value to them, the value of your particular product, and the value of working with you. If you can't express those things, even if you're doing we all know the sacred two things you need to do, which is do good work, deliver on time. If you can't express the rest of this stuff, then it's you and the other people who've crossed that basic threshold of do good work, deliver on time, and now we can't differentiate you, and we're back to a closer realm of us all being commodities again. So that the unique value that you present, and then what you can do that's going to be a value to them, not just I do a good thing, but when you get my product, it does this for you. So that's the thing. The value that they get from the product is what you're really trying to communicate, not just your value in the industry or why you're better at X thing you do. Because once again, people don't necessarily care. They don't care about my densities. You know, you know what I mean? Yeah. They don't care about all the things that are there in my embroidery files. They do care about what that product is going to do for them long term. And then ultimately, how do you deal with raising the prices? I know this sounds terrible, but I think Terry's just 100% right. It's honest communication. And though I'm going to say something that sounds a little less like honest communication, I've also, when I've seen people pricing, sometimes if you break down your price list into little tiny things and services and bills, and when someone sees it, it looks like an explanation of a doctor's visit on an insurance manifest, you will freak people out raising little bits and pieces of that or increasing things or adding fees. Sometimes you just have to say, here's what this thing costs, and you quote it at that slightly higher price. If there's a problem, here's the other thing too, don't perceive a problem before it happens. Sometimes you'll raise that price, you'll raise that percentage, and there is no response. Mm-hmm. You don't have to come and expect the fight. If you come expecting the fight, I mean, you're going to come with really weird energy to that pricing strategy. Yeah. Come in feeling centered in yourself, knowing what you're providing these people, and being able to express what value you have, and then be honest. Tell them what things cost. Explain what the possibilities are. And when they come to you with price questions, the other thing is have options that are not based on you working more for less, but are based in giving them the value they need for something they can't afford. Because you can provide values that don't then cause you to lose out.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. I will ditto what Eric said at the start, right? Yes, what both of them said is kind of my take. And I guess to add my perception to this as well, I think the first two questions are kind of one and the same, right? How do we most effectively communicate value so pricing feels justified? And then how do you raise prices without losing your customers? I think those two things go hand in hand, right? If we can effectively communicate value, which again, what problem do you solve? What Eric was just talking about, you know, I talk about it ad nauseum, that it's not about the things, it's about the problem you solve. And here's the next step to that. We see their external problem, right? They need a thing, they're having a challenge with this. But what we really solve, what we really have to get to when we're communicating that value is the internal fear, the internal emotion that they're dealing with, right? Like fear of, I give my team these shirts and the numbers peel off, or, what were some of the bad experiences they've had in the past, or they don't have time to do all this, right? And so you're really solving the internal problem of them not feeling like they have time, right? And so that's the way to communicate it. And then I think that's how you raise your prices is you just really make sure that you understand what their internal challenges are, because at that point, like we are, as humans, we are wired to spend till it hurts. Like it's just a human nature. When we have resources, we want to give away those resources to get other resources that we think we need, right? And that's just our human wiring. So the fact of the matter is we all value different things. And so when push comes to shove, right? Like I can tell you 100 times I've spent more money on something than I probably quote unquote should have, because it was important to me, or I saw value in it, right? Where there's other times where I look at people and go, oh my God, why would they spend that money on that? Right? But the fact of the matter is that's their wiring, that's of value to them. So, raising your prices is really just like Terry said, the byproduct of I need to make a living, and that sincere conversation about that will probably smooth that over. So it's not necessarily about the raising prices. It's about raising the clarity and the communication on the service that you actually provide, right? Like I'm sure we've all experienced this where we've lost a customer to somebody else that was cheaper, and then they've come back.
Right.
Right. And so right there tells you that, okay, what you're doing for them is of value. So the pricing doesn't matter. Right. And so as long as it's within a reasonable amount, people will pay that. And so then I guess the last part that I'll add to this is, and this maybe answers that third question a little bit. What should people do when they realize their pricing is wrong? Is to start thinking about where, Seth Godin calls it breaking the chain. Right? There's a blog post he wrote back in 2013 that really changed my thinking. So just look up Seth Godin and breaking the chain and go read that blog post. But what that really means is, why are you giving your customers a reason to go look somewhere else, right? How have you made it harder on them than they need, right? If they're an ideal customer, don't make them bend to the way. Oh, there we go. 2014. Thank you, Eric. He's on it. I may have mentioned that one before, but anyhow, what's the reason that they're going to look somewhere else? And that's really you breaking the chain, right? If you just make it easy to do business with you and they're your ideal customer, price goes up a little bit. You explain that the extra value, and they go, okay, great, thanks. So. And then last thing I will add, because I wanted to tie in what Terry said a little bit earlier too. Terry, you talked about when you raise prices, you maybe lost 20%.
Right.
So if you guys, I'm sure you guys have heard of this because I probably said it before, but there's this thing called the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. And there's study after study after study that this kind of idea works in all sorts of different ways, right? But the way when it comes to pricing is 80% of your revenue is going to come from the top 20% of your customers. And then the flip side of that, 80% of your challenges, problems, customer service issues, headaches are going to come from the bottom 20% of your customer, right? So Terry raised prices, lost 20% of his customers, but the reality is that was probably the bottom 20% that gave him the most headache. And so even losing that was actually a net positive, because he said you could take Sundays off. You're probably happier, which made you more fun to deal with, and more people wanted to do business with you, right? So all these little non-tangible things start adding up that we don't see. Just, it's the addition by subtraction idea. So
Well, that's the kind of thing you're saying. How do we not lose customers? It's more about how do we lose the right customers? Like, how do we lose the ones we should lose? And we've all been there. I'm not going to say I've never shopped on a budget, but I'll also say this: when I'm shopping on a razor thin budget for something, which I've done many times in my life, quite a lot. I know that I'm also asking the most questions. I'm being the most careful because I don't have that money to lose. That probably means I'm a hand-holding client, and that's difficult for somebody who's working. Whereas when I've had money to get something done and I know that I have enough money to get it done, they're like, yeah, there's this much more percentage to get it here sooner with white glove service to deliver. And you're like, yeah, I got it. Yeah, go ahead. What do you want? What do you want? I got it. Like the times that I've had the money for that thing or where the value is high for me, I was the easiest customer on earth because I'm like, what? You got a little upcharge for something that's going to make this much easier for me? Heck yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to deliver it. I don't want to haul things back. I don't want to do. And I always think about that with our company at Black Duck, where I worked for so long. We used to do all of this prep work for people who did club sales and team sales, where everything was bagged and had tags and stickers and stuff on it. And for the longest time, there was no additional surcharge for that. And I'm like, man, we have provided so much value. Mm-hmm. If you were sitting there with one of these people who were ordering for a team and saw them distributing when they got a big box of printer folded shirts, you would know the amount of value, the hours you just saved that human. Yeah. It's real value. Don't discount it. And you're spending your limited hours of your life doing it anyway. Yep. Get paid for that.
Yeah. All right. I want to go back to one more regulator comment here real quick. Extra Hands one said, being sincere in what you have to offer to the client, this hits home. They need to believe they are making the correct choice. They will be lifelong clients, right? So, Terry, give us any closing thoughts here on those three questions or otherwise.
Yeah, I've always priced based on value, not on the competition, and I think everybody should do that. And I've always been very successful selling value. So
good. There you go. Terry's done it. You can do it too, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly right.
I love it.
My business background came from that degree in journalism.
That's right. That's right. And then lots of trial and error. All right. Eric, any closing thoughts for you? But then I want you to go ahead and just lead into what other events you got coming up here as well. So we're going to.
Sure. Closing thoughts, certainly for one, listen to these other two guys for one. We've actually had some good stuff today. I think about that for sure. Answer those hard questions I said earlier. What is it about your work that is unique, important, useful? How are you providing value to the client, not your value as somebody in the decoration industry, but how does your product provide value to the client? And why should they choose you or your medium over something else? If you can't answer those, you're on the back end of this thing. Realize that telling the story of how you're valuable and being very clear and honest with information is always going to pay off in the end, even if some people take off. And the other thing I'll say this too, when we're thinking about what we need to offer, when we're trying to change offerings, always look to the pain point of the client and realize that you are not your client. You are not your customer. What you think you might need as a customer might not be what your customers need. Communicate. Find out where their pain points are, and you will find something of value you can offer if you're not sure.
Love it. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Eric. What is
today? Today is Take Up Friday, folks. Take Up Friday. So today is episode 249, Size, Scale, and Resizing Revisited. So whether you're digitizing new designs, dealing with outsourced files or stock, want to swap thread types, or contending with a clash between your hoop area and your design boundaries, you already know how much measurements matter in machine embroidery. Tune in and talk with me about what measurements matter, what digitizers need to know, and how all of this measuring and sizing affects the quality of your embroidery. Jump in at 2:30 Mountain Time, 4:30 Eastern, and we will discuss how that scaling really can be done and what kind of things we do that changes the decisions we make as digitizers and embroiderers. So head over to ericcampbell.com and click the Take Up tab at the top to get to that and all of the other episodes. And I will see you this afternoon.
All right. Awesome. Looking forward to that. Terry, what about you? What's coming up for you?
My complete screen printing business course, upcoming dates with Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago, June 6th and 7th, August 22nd and 23rd, November 7th and 8th. I also want to remind everybody about the Sustainable Merch Summit next Wednesday, April 22nd. Even if you can't make it, be sure to register at brandedmerchnetwork.com/SMS. Scroll down to the bottom, click Save Your Spot. That way you will have access to watch this later and watch for all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
There we go. Looking forward to that, and thanks for that reminder, Terry. So for me, a couple things here. The next Business Builder Accelerator starts on June 8th, and you can get more details at osg.link/builder. And then you can also, right there, you see buttons all over the place where you can sign up for a no-charge clarity call right now. So just jump on that. I'm looking forward to having conversations with anybody that wants to talk some perspective about their business. If you're somebody that may be feeling stuck or scattered or second guessing everything, this is for you. I saw Adelina said earlier that quit the day job, jumping in. Let's have a conversation. I'm happy to help give you some perspective there. And the biggest wins that I'm hearing from this accelerator program, guys, that just are like making me can't wait for the next round here, is just things like somebody said to me, I finally feel clear about where I'm headed. And another person said, I'm more confident in my pricing, right? What we talked about here today. And we dig into a lot of those things around, understanding who your actual customer is, the value you provide, stuff like that. So that to me is what these programs are all about, is just real clarity and actually enjoying a business again. My whole tagline, the whole mission for me is I want to help people fall in love with what they get to do. So if you'll go over to osg.link/builder, and you can click that button and grab a time, or learn more about the accelerator, reach out to me any way, and I'm happy to answer any questions or give you any perspective. So, and then coming up tomorrow on Small Business Saturday, you can tune in at liveosg.com, and I'm going to be stepping back to look at the psychology of success through the fundamental formula, through the details that are in my book here, The Fundamentals of Business Success. And we're going to talk about what actually drives growth, not just in theory, but I'm going to be proving it in real life. I'm going to be sharing some of the biggest insights from our latest accelerator group. And just these are real business owners in the middle of it, just like you guys. And, so I want to share what's shifted for them and help you guys connect the dots of the psychology of success there. And so I don't think you want to miss this episode. If you'll head over to liveosg.com, you'll be able to subscribe to my YouTube channel, get notifications, and as well, while you're there, there's a full library of business mindset and practical tips that you can start using right away. And then we talked about DAX Ohio coming up next week. I'm excited about it. On April 24th and 25th, I get to teach 2 classes there and facilitate another. So on Friday from 10:30 to 11:45, I'm going to be teaching The Myth of Everyone is My Customer. And my goal is to share a clear vision of who you serve and how to attract more of the right customers for lasting success. Again, ties in nicely with what we talked about today. So get out there to DAX Dayton and check that out. Immediately after that, from noon to 1:15, my class is called Bye Bye Burnout, and I want to share how to prevent burnout before it starts and create sustainable habits that keeps your creativity and business thriving. And then the next morning, I get to facilitate a class with Rob Super and Sean Stewart, and we're going to talk about DTF 101 from file to finish. And we're going to walk through some real world DTF workflow, kind of look at the big picture, not just the little parts and pieces, artwork, software decisions, film, ink, powder, color, application processes, just really highlighting where we're seeing, from our customers, where most problems actually begin, right? I think people kind of get this too narrow of a mindset when it comes to their DTF workflow. And we want to help you step back and say, hey, here's what we're seeing successful shops do. Here's how they reduce reprints, wasted time, and frustration. So that is Saturday morning, April 25th at 8:30 a.m. And if you go over to daxshow.com to register and you use the code SUPERROB2026, you will get a $30 education credit. Excuse me. So there we go. That's what we got today. Cool. Thank you, Extra Hands, for the nice comment there. Terry, I'm ready to take some notes. can we talk about cleanliness is next to godliness?
Absolutely. Let's do the secret sauce. I'm Terry Combs, and my secret sauce today is cleanliness is next to godliness. A clean shop, a clean workspace, a non-cluttered and safe environment will reflect in the work you do. You might doubt me, but I've seen it hundreds of times. I've been in garment decorating shops from coast to coast. The clean and tidy shops produce quality output. The messy, dirty, cluttered shops produce finished products that many of us wouldn't be very proud of. And maybe proud is the operative word. When you and your staff take pride in your workspace, that translates to taking pride in what you do and what you produce. Some of you know that I've spent a big part of my career either consulting or hired to run production shops that were basically in trouble. The job descriptions were commonly, we can't get product out the door. We have too much spoilage. We have too much turnover. We can't find good help anymore. Can you help us? Can you save us? I'm known from I'm known for repeating stories, so here goes another one. I was hired to run a production facility once that was hemorrhaging from every corner. Late deliveries, returns, turnover, inconsistent quality. Management stayed up front and the production team sort of existed on their own. It was a total Lord of the Flies scenario. If you don't understand the reference, I blame our education system, so look it up. On my first day, I surveyed a dirty, messy, cluttered production floor with people tripping over skids and tripping over each other. What appeared to be their favorite sport was to dip a hand in ink and in the spirit of early man, cave painting worthy handprints down one wall of the building. Handprints in every variety of ink color, hundreds of handprints. The workers almost bragged about it to me. I smiled and responded, yes, that's very creative. Everyone, we're not printing tomorrow. Show up dressed, prepared to clean and to paint. And thus began a slow and steady process of building pride. First with their workplace, and then over time, pride in their work. It wasn't an overnight change, but change did come through education, positive feedback, and encouragement. And for the company, orders began shipping on time, shipping correctly, and over time, no employees ever wanted to leave that job. I'm not suggesting your own shop reaches the depths that location had fallen into, but do you set aside 15 minutes at the end of each workday for employees to clean up their workspace and clean up the shop? Is there a schedule for cleaning the facility? Is there a specific schedule to clean the break room, right down to cleaning the coffee pot? Do you, as an owner or manager, pick up after yourself, setting an example, setting the standard? A clean and clutter-free shop is the starting point. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Go to work on Monday with that mindset, and you'll start seeing results in the products going out the door, in the attitudes of your employees, and even in your own attitude toward your own business. Cleanliness is next to godliness. That's my secret sauce for today.
Awesome. That is a excellent secret sauce, Terry. Thank you
Awesome. Thank you.
for sharing that. Yeah.
Close to my own heart.
Yeah. And I love how you shared at the end there, Terry, right? Like it also changed your own attitude, right? Like I think,
100%.
yeah. Like I always tell people, right, when you're feeling a little overwhelmed and scattered, just set yourself a timer, give yourself 15 minutes and clean your desk.
Yeah.
Right. Like just, little things like that. And so I love how that all tied together, Terry. So good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good stuff for sure. All right, you guys. Well, we have come to the close of another show. We want to thank Eric for sitting in with us today, and what a great conversation. And we want to thank all of the regulators for their comments and being part of this discussion as well. I think we deserve some high fives all around for all of us. I think those were two excellent pricing shows. So you guys make sure that you check out the April 3rd episode as well if you didn't already catch that and see how those two tie together.
All right. And I will add thanks to our show producer, Eric Campbell, for all he does, keeping us on the air, pushing the buttons, turning the wheels, and, of course, joining us today as on camera.
Yeah.
You do it.
And does Eric get double pay again, Terry? This is
Double
like 2 weeks
pay.
in a row.
Yep.
Wow. Woo!
And you can take tomorrow off, too, Eric.
I'll take tomorrow off the show.
Yeah.
I'll come up in the morning
Yeah.
for it all.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll give you this afternoon off for the take up too while we're at it, man. We were just feeling nice.
Very,
today.
very generous of you, boys.
All right. Well, next week we've brought it up a couple times, but make sure on Wednesday you guys are signed up for that at Brandon Merch Network /SMS. But we are sharing the platform here with the Sustainable Merch Summit. So if you're signed up for that, you'll be able to see the Two Regular Guys world here coming up on Wednesday, and we're going to be joined by Jay Bissell, Cassie Green, Teresa Hagel, and a whole host of industry experts on a variety of panels and discussions and prompts. And yeah, you're going to go, man, 2 hours just went by. What happened? That was awesome. I need 2 more hours of it. And we're going to go, nope, it's done. But no, it'll be great. So that's happening on Wednesday, and then on Friday we're going to do something a little bit different. I was out at the Corneats Connection event there this last week. It was got there on Sunday, and then it was Monday and Tuesday. And at the show, I got to interview 3 different people and talk to some other folks and whatnot. And I recorded those interviews. So I'm going to pull those all together, and that will be our show next week. I think there's some really good information that came out of it. I'll give a little recap to kind of start, and then we'll get into those interviews. And I think you'll get a lot out of it. We talked, and these are some, these companies, every single one of these companies that I interviewed were like multi-million-dollar businesses that had information that I think is valuable for everyone across the board. So,
Fantastic.
Yeah, looking forward to that next week.
Yeah, me too as well. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Eric Campbell. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.